Isn't it a shame that no one's allowed to directly engage with the environmentalists? You know, just have the conversation with them. I saw a recording of that Hallam fella, one of the founders of Extinction Rebellion, but they've moved him to the side now because he's a bit even too extreme for them, or his messaging's a bit off. And he gets talking on television to a wide broadcast audience, and he's saying, like, if you don't do as we say in like 10 years' time, things are going to get so bad. It's like you will witness your mother being held down on a table and gang raped. What? It's like, he said that, yeah. He says that'll become commonplace. You'll see your mother get gang raped. What? And this is his case. It's like, if you continue to do what we're doing with the rate of decline, and it's like, that's horror. It's like you're going past scaremongering and into horror. You're trying to put horror in people's minds and create a real powerful fear association. It's like the guy failed as someone who writes horror, so he just joined the environmentalist movement and started making fucking predictions. It's like, I have to agree with him, you know, when you get to talk about things like marauders and thieving and murder and rape and shit. I'm like, oh yeah, we are heading for that. But it'll fuck all I do with climate change. That is exactly what will happen if we embrace your fear and start to tear down our society. There are those who will exploit the situation. And then you will see your gang rapes, your murder, your maraudering, your thieving, your idiots roving around in fucking cars, driving like maniacs looking for prey. You're going to see that. It's like you see low volume versions of it now, but nowhere where someone like Roger Hallam hangs out. It's like town centres these days, because they've become like a little bit desolate, they can be very, very dangerous places. He doesn't know that. That guy's obviously, he's like a millionaire socialist. He's like, in the future. Like, mate. It's like, I wish they'd get it right. You know, when they say in 20 years, it's like, the only way that that's even a valid thing to say is if we were to do something like in a movie and just say 20 years later, as if the clocks just turned and turned and turned and turned and nobody did nothing to stop nothing, nothing changed. No one made any adjustments to what they were doing or learned any new tricks. We have to pretend technology stands still and that human beings just go on as they're doing now, as they say. But human beings don't do that. They generally adapt. It's like if the wind blows and a few of your slates fly off and water starts pissing in your house, you don't just fucking abandon the house to the fucking elements, do you? You get on the phone to a roofer and he comes around and he rips you off. But fix it. Humans, if humans are humans, they actually look after their stuff. They recognise value and they maintain things that are worth money. But that's not something that's in the minds of these extremists, is it? They don't understand about looking after their stuff. They don't understand looking after themselves. So you can sell them that in 20 years' time, if we go down this current route of like inaction, the whole place will fall apart. Because to them that's believable, because they don't know how to look after themselves. They don't have a notion of taking care of something and making sure it lasts. I've known in my time, because I'm from a poor place, people who've always been motorists, regardless of how poor they've been. They've always had a car. They could be broke, and they'll find themselves in a better situation when they've got a fiver in their pockets and they can buy a gallon of petrol with it, than someone who's got a fiver and it's like, well, I'm in the shit. Leave fiver for a tank of petrol will get you to a job, won't it? I've known people who've managed to be motorists. I had a friend once who, just to spite people, just to fuck with us, he bought a car once for 25 quid. And I remember the car, I remember the guy who had it previously, and he'd ragged it all over the place. It was like a 1.3 Maestro. It wasn't a fucking good car. And he'd ragged it all over the place, and he'd wear and tear it. So basically, the corners were falling off it, and it was going for 25 quid. And a friend of mine bought it, and I'm like, oh, that thing. He's like, you're driving it after that guy who's an idiot. And he's like, well, I've had a look at it, and I've weighed it up, and I took it for an MOT, and I can get it fixed for 50 quid. What? So now it's a 75 quid car, and it's got a full MOT, and I can go and tax it. He drove it around for 5 years, that 25 quid car, and he just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. Never short of transport. Why? Well, he knows how to do most of the work on one himself. He learned how in order to stay on the road and not have to pay mechanics. He kind of became one. Learned how to do the brakes himself. Learned how to change a clutch himself. Got the Haynes manuals. Took the thing apart. Put it back together. Suddenly you can afford to have one because you can have a 25 quid one because you know how to maintain one. So he looks at it, and the whole world looks at this car and says, well, it's 25 quid. It's like, give us 25 quid for it now, or I'll need a lift back from taking it to the scrapyard where I'll probably get 30 quid. Runs it. 4 years. So I've known a lot of that. It's like, we know to keep our stuff. The car isn't dead unless it's something that we can't fix for nothing. Or know how to do it, just have to get the bits, have a mate who can help you. It's like these folk do not know anything of having to make do and mend and look after the stuff. So they then project that onto the whole fucking planet and say, oh, if we carry on the way that we're going, and it's like, now, you have to believe in so many fairy tales at once to have a cohesive dread of climate change and the like. You have to believe so many interlapping falsehoods together at once in order to maintain the illusion. Because the thing that I see is, right, I personally am if there was a cause to join and you wanted serious, radical sort of rebels, ruthless people, I'd join it. You know, like if it was the rebellion against the empire, it's like I would have joined it 10 years ago. What? So yeah, if the enemy was so straightforward, cut and dried as the empire, I'd have been on board to join a rebellion 10 years ago and do whatever necessary. I know what it is to be a radical, an outsider, a pariah, someone who sort of lives on the outside looking in. I know what it is to be that. And it's like, I'm not involved with any radicals or extreme. No, why? And it's like, because there is no cause worthy of that kind of action. Excuse me? So yeah, this place ain't no tyranny. It's well on the way to becoming one, but we'll know when. And then it'll be fucking obvious what we have to do. Obvious what we have to do. Then it'll speak for itself. But it's like there is no enemy like that to oppose in this country. There isn't. There's plenty of tyranny, but it's not an iron-fisted tyranny. It's not like you just fucked. There is always a way out. It might be difficult, but there's a way out. You might not make it, but there's a way out. But you see the fire in them. The fire in them. They fucking mean it, don't they? These dickheads who are climbing gantries now on the M25's like, we'll make it so they have to shut their own roads down because of the health and safety laws. Aren't we clever? We can use their ridiculous health and safety laws as a way of stopping the traffic. And think they're brilliant. But they mean it, and they're serious, and their techniques are advanced. The amount of harm, psychological and natural economic harm they can cause shutting down a motorway is incalculable. It's a lot of money, but it's incalculable. It's incalculable. It's like everyone who's there you fucking was losing. You're like, the chaos of it. Aren't we wonderful? And isn't our cause a just one? And it's like, no, it's not. It's like, if your cause was a just one, I'd have Probably led you. What? Yeah. I'd have led you. I'd have been one of your leading lights. What? If your cause was a just one. So I know one of you organiser guys. Could have joined up there and then. Could have joined your Extinction Rebellion. If your Extinction Rebellion was a worthy cause, and I'm a man of God, a worthy cause I'd have joined. It's not though, is it? You're going off like revolutionaries, pushing the boundaries of society to the very limit using very advanced gaslighting techniques and actual terrorism. We found a loophole in that. A loophole in terrorism. Because you oppose the government giving out new oil licenses. Now, if you opposed the government education system hypersexualising the young and the NHS being used as a kind of political army, I'd have turned up for you. Seriously. If your cause was just, I'd turn up for you. Can't get past it. Dangerous thing. These guys going themselves to the roads have been in the shit together. They think they've fought the Great War. They're fighting the Great War, and it's like you've gone off half-cock at the wrong enemy. You don't know what the world is. But you've tapped into that revolutionary spirit, haven't you? You just don't know what to do with it. Find a cause that's just and be that martyr, and fuck me, will you be a hero. But when you're going after the wrong target and you're punishing the wrong people and your techniques are unethical and immoral, it's like, whose work are you doing? Oh shit, I shouldn't be talking in those kind of terms. Way too creepy and advanced for that fucking set. Way past them. They are so far beyond God that it's gonna be funny.